Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today I am building a book. Now, I've actually thought about writing my own book for a while about creativity. I don't know if that's something that people would be interested in reading, but it is a question that I get asked a lot. Where do you come up with your ideas? How are you creative? So today I thought I would kind of share with you the process sometimes of how I go about coming up with video ideas. I was watching an Adam Savage and NerdForge collaboration where they made a giant book. And I was watching it, I was like, hey, that'd be a cool thing to make. So I'm not gonna make a giant one and just copy what they did. I'm gonna put my own spin on it and do it in a completely different way as far as assembly. I don't know if it's gonna be very stable or sturdy as a book, but we're gonna give it a go. So today I am making a monster book with a bunch of eyeballs and creepy skin and stitches out of foam and some antique looking paper. It's actually leftovers from another build, and so is the foam. Let's get to build. What if the most terrifying book of all times could also become a canvas for creativity? Today we're building a custom Necronomicon out of EVA foam, faux antique paper, glass monster eyes, and a hand stitching. But this isn't just about horror. It's about creativity, imagination, and the power of making something with your own hands. As Pablo Picasso once said, everything you can imagine is real. That's because of projects like this that you take ordinary materials and through imagination they become extraordinary. EVA foam becomes aged leather. Paper becomes lost ancient pages. A glass eye becomes the soul of a monster staring back at you. Creativity is transformation. These pages were the leftovers from when I made Adam Savage's Viking hammer, so it seems fitting to go full circle and have him inspire what to do with the rest of the paper. My wood is slightly smaller than the pages so that they stick out. I glue the wood to the foam with contact cement to make the base for the pages. Now I'm just taking random scrap pieces of foam to make the skin patches for the Necronomicon. Did you know that the word Necronomicon was actually invented by the author H.P. Lovecraft in 1922? He combined Greek words meaning Book of the Laws of the Dead. Though no actual ancient text exists, fans have been creating versions of this ever since. EVA foam, our main material, was originally developed for things like sports pads and flooring, but makers discovered that it could be carved, painted, and shaped into just about anything. That's the heart of creativity, using things in ways they weren't originally intended for. Studies show that doing something creative even for 20 minutes a day can reduce stress, boost your mood, and even help you solve problems in other parts of your life. Albert Einstein once said, "Creativity is excellence having fun." When you're making something like this, don't worry about perfection. Worry about expression. The cracks, the stitches, and the imperfections, those are what make it look real. detail. Right now I'm just gluing down foam, but this is the foundation of creativity. Every masterpiece starts with small, ordinary steps. The glue is what holds the dream together. As I carve into the foam here, I'm reminded creativity doesn't have to be about inventing something new. It can also be about reimagining what already exists. We've all seen people build Necronomicons, but by adding antique paper, glass monster eyes, real hand stitching, this becomes unique to me and you watching it right now. The cool thing about making is that mistakes aren't failures, they're texture, details, and happy accidents. Sometimes the glue smudges become the weathering that makes it look real. Texture is where creativity really comes alive. Perfection is smooth, but stories live in the cracks. When I press this foil in, I'm not just adding wrinkles, I'm adding history. Creativity is about making something that looks like it's been through a journey. Bob Ross used to say, "We don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents." Every dent, every wrinkle, and every scar I press into this foam becomes part of the book's soul. Here's something interesting. Studies show our brain actually responds more emotionally to texture than to flat surfaces. That's why we're drawn to rough, cracked, and aged things. They feel alive. Creativity is about seeing possibilities where others see nothing. Most people see a ball of foil. We see a tool to make a book of forbidden magic. Sometimes creativity is about control, but sometimes it's also about letting go. I can't predict every wrinkle this foil will make, and that unpredictability is the magic that's going to make this book cool. I need to make spots for these eyes to sit level so that they get good adhesion and don't pop off the second I start opening and closing this book. So with a stone bit on my rotary tool and a respirator on my face, I sand back the foam to make a relatively flat surface to glue on. Michelangelo once said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." I am not Michelangelo by any stretch of the means, but that kind of feels like this. Finding the soul of the piece hidden in the foam. Here's the secret. The more time you spend adding wrinkles, scars, and folds, the more believable your creation becomes. Creativity is in the details. When you carve into the foam, you're not just adding damage, you're adding history. Creativity isn't about making things look new, it's about making them look like they've lived. With wire added, I hang it outside and hit it with 2 coats of Plasti Dip. Creativity is all about layers, just like paint. One color alone doesn't tell the story, but together they create something alive. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Art is never finished, only abandoned." Each brushstroke gets us closer, but the truth is, perfection isn't the goal, expression is. Flesh isn't one flat color, it's veins, scars, shadows, warmth. Creativity is the same way. It's not one big idea, but thousands of little ones working together. Every dab of red, every hint of brown, it's like giving this book its own heartbeat. That's what creativity does. It gives life to the lifeless. I like to think of painting as memory. Every speckle adds history, each shade adds emotion. That's how we turn craft into art. Here's an interesting fact. The human eye can distinguish millions of colors, but what we notice most are the variations, the imperfections. That's why the mixing of pinks, reds, and browns feels so real. Creativity is alchemy. You take something simple like glue and paint, and suddenly it transforms into something alive, something unsettling. Vincent van Gogh said, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together. A drop of glue, a brush of red, layer by layer the vision bleeds through." When you push creativity far enough, you cross from craft into illusion. Right now, this isn't foam and paint anymore, it's flesh and blood, stitched together by imagination. I know I'm giving you a lot of these fun facts, but I thought they were interesting. Gloss finishes actually trick the eye into thinking something is wetter, fresher, and more real. That's the power of creativity, convincing the brain in what it sees. Creativity is brave. It's saying, I'm going to make something that doesn't exist yet, even if it's unsettling, even if it's very disturbing, because art should make people think something, and I'm guessing that people are going to think this book is weird. That's the goal. This is where creativity comes full circle. When the creation starts looking back at you, they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. In creativity, your project becomes a reflection of your soul, your imagination staring back. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein when she was only 18, and she gave her monster life through words. Here we're doing the same thing, but giving it glass dome eyes to bring it to life. Another fun fact, humans are hardwired to notice eyes. It's called the gaze effect. That's why adding these monster eyes instantly makes the book feel a little more real and maybe even a little dangerous. Creativity is stitching pieces of imagination together, thread by thread, idea by idea, until something whole emerges. Every stitch is a choice. Just like in art, every small decision adds up to a bigger story. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with gold, turning flaws into beauty. In the same way, these stitches remind us that scars can be creative, powerful, and proud. When we stitch by hand, we slow down. Creativity often happens in the slowness, when your mind has room to wonder while your hands keep moving. Creativity doesn't always mean something from scratch. It can mean binding, connecting, and weaving together the things you already have. The stitches here don't hide the wound, they highlight it. That's creativity, leaning into imperfections instead of covering them up. This final step, sewing the pages into the spine, reminds me what creativity is all about. It's about connection. Just like these threads binding scraps of foam, paper, and paint into a single book, creativity binds together our ideas, our memories, and our passions into something whole. Every stitch is a reminder that small actions matter. One page on its own isn't much, but bound together, it becomes a story. In the same way, every creative effort you make, every sketch, every build, every experiment adds up to something greater than the sum of its parts. So as I tie off the last stitch of this book, I hope it inspires you to do it yourself. I hope it inspires you to tie your own ideas together. Whether you're building props, painting, writing, or creating in any other way, remember, creativity is a thread that holds us together, connects us to each other, and turns original materials into extraordinary stories. Keep making, keep imagining, and keep stitching your ideas into reality, because the world needs what only you can give it. And we are finished. Here is the end result. The skin texture is very similar to how the shrunken head that I made a while back, or that witch's hat. Definitely go check out those videos. I'll link them. But it feels super creepy. It's got a little bit of squish to it, and I think the eyes make it look pretty cool. I went with different colors on the front and the back just because I like a little bit of variation, but yeah. Maybe you'll try and make one of these yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to see something on a show, brainstorm a different way to do it, and then make it come to be. Yeah. Maybe you'll get some... Yay! And inevitably, they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these, tell them, much props. Guess I need to start... making some spells and drawing some really weird stuff in this thing. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, so peace out. If you enjoy what I do here on YouTube and you want to see more builds like this one, please consider joining these awesome people listed here with me over on my Patreon to build a bigger, better, more creative community together.